I woke up just like any other Saturday morning, a bit later than usual. The winter sunlight was streaming through our bedroom window, casting a warm glow across our king-size bed. I rolled over and gave Sarah, my wife of 17 years, a gentle good morning kiss. "Jack, please let me sleep," she mumbled into her pillow. "I can't catch a break with you at night or in the morning, and the girls are probably up already." I chuckled softly. "You're right. They're old enough to handle themselves now. They won't bother us." I slipped out of bed, pulled on my robe, and headed for the shower. On my way, I heard noise coming from Rachel's room. Katie was trying to drag her sister out of bed. I decided to let them sort it out themselves. After getting myself ready, I made my way to the kitchen. Our daughters were already at the table, looking impatient. "Dad, are we having breakfast today?" Rachel asked. "We still have to go to school, you know." I couldn't help but smile. "Why? You're on winter break, remember? You're going to Grandma's today." Rachel looked puzzled. "And what about you, Dad? Aren't you on vacation too? Isn't it a long weekend?" "I thought it was Mom's idea." I walked to the refrigerator, pulling out eggs and milk. "How about you make your own breakfast?" Katie chimed in, her blue eyes rolling dramatically. "We could, but Mom won't let us. She thinks we'd ruin the pans and burn everything. The only thing we're allowed to make is scrambled eggs." "How about oatmeal or cream of wheat like they have in New England?" I suggested, reaching for the pantry. Rachel grinned. "Oatmeal, please, sir." I smiled back. "Oatmeal it is, Mississippi. We'll save the fancy stuff for another day. Now go wash your faces and brush your teeth. Breakfast will be ready in 15 minutes." I quickly whipped up breakfast for my girls. Meanwhile, Sarah emerged from our bedroom and headed to the bathroom. The girls sat down to eat, and Sarah soon returned, her dark hair neatly combed. I couldn't help but glance at my wife. She was wearing one of my old Harvard t-shirts, and despite everything, she still had a way of captivating me. Her beauty was undeniable, even if everyone had their own idea of what's beautiful. I loved her, but there was an undeniable tension between us lately. Sarah sat down at the table and addressed the girls. "Finish your meal and get ready. Daddy's taking you to Grandma's." Rachel protested immediately. "Mom, you promised we'd go to Stowe for a week. We've already packed our ski gear, and we were so excited to spend New Year's Eve together." Sarah's response was cold. "Girls, we don't always get what we want. We'll hit the slopes during spring break when there's less snow. Or maybe we'll go to Maine. They have snow in the mountains year-round. Now finish up and get ready." I wasn't exactly thrilled about sending the kids to my mother-in-law's, especially after Sarah's lie about our trip. Ito, old sense that Sarah and I were drifting apart, and it all started when Alex, the new commercial director at her company, came into the picture. Sarah had known Alex from their Boston University days, but she never mentioned him to me. This bothered me, but I held on to the hope that she'd remain faithful. I considered confronting Alex, but figured it would only worsen things between Sarah and me. Instead, I kept a close eye on her. As far as I knew, nothing serious had happened between them, just some light flirting. When Sarah arranged for the kids to go to her parents today, it felt like a sign that something was going to happen over this long New Year's weekend. I was ready for this conversation. I had even prepared a recorder to capture it as things began to unfold. I stayed calm, my main concern being shielding my daughters from any fallout. I knew a tough conversation was coming, thanks to a heads-up from Lisa, Alex's wife. Sarah had no clue that I had gone to the bathroom, switched on the recorder, and slipped it into my pocket before coming back to the kitchen. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she glanced at me with a brief smile that quickly faded. Her expression turned serious as she said, "Jack, we need to talk." The tone in her voice made it clear that this conversation was not going to be pleasant. I did my best to stay composed and asked, "Is something wrong?" Sarah replied, her voice soft but steady. "Nothing's wrong. I love you, Jack. I've loved you for years. You've been an incredible husband and father. I want to grow old with you, maybe even die on the same day. So what's standing in our way? I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. I've been doing a lot of thinking, she continued, and I've come to believe that we need a break from our marriage. We should explore our own paths and experiences separately. That way, when we come back together, we'll have a broader perspective to strengthen our relationship. How long do you think this break should last? I asked. A month? A year? No, just a 2-day holiday weekend, she replied calmly. Is that why the kids are going to your mom's instead of the ski resort? I asked. Yes, I've already arranged everything with my mom, she confirmed. I felt my jaw tighten. So, what you're really telling me is that you and your lover cooked up this whole sociological theory just to get my approval for a weekend fling? The words felt unreal as they left my mouth. Sarah's suggestion had knocked the wind out of me. Her audacity was shocking, though not entirely unexpected considering my growing suspicions. Still, hearing it out loud stung deeply. Jack, I really don't know what you're talking about, she said, feigning innocence. Can you clarify? I have no idea who you think my lover is. You might not like it, but you'll see that nothing will change between us when we get back together. I'll make sure you're happy. Yes, it's selfish, but V my reasons. I want to grow old with you. You may not understand now, but eventually you will, and you'll thank me. My patience was wearing thin. You don't even know who I'm talking about, do you? It's Alex, your new commercial director. You had a passionate affair with him back in college. He ended it when he got bored of you, and then you quickly moved on to me. Not a word about him becoming your boss. And you're wrong if you think nothing will change. What do you mean by that? She asked, still playing dumb. Everything's already changing, I said, my voice rising with frustration. Your attitude towards me, towards the kids, it's all different now. Jack, I love you, and you're imagining things, Sarah protested. I still love you. I don't know how you'll explain our divorce to your parents or to Rachel and Katie. What will they think? Divorce? I said, my voice steady now. We're not getting divorced. But I can see right through this sociological nonsense you and Alex came up with. You're overcomplicating things, she insisted. You'll take the girls, and when you get back, we'll figure this out. We're not resolving anything, I stated firmly. I'm leaving. But you can't do this to me, she protested, her voice trembling. I can and I will, I declared. My decision to divorce wasn't planned, but now it's made. But I said I was calling it off, she tried to reason. Yes, you did. Then you mentioned we'd discuss it further when I got back. So you enjoy your free weekend while I drive the girls around. You can consult with Alex. I snapped back. Rachel walked into the kitchen, interrupting our tense conversation. Daddy, we're ready to go. I'll be ready in 5 minutes, I said, keeping my voice calm for my daughter's sake. I quickly got dressed, grabbed my laptop, and slung my backpack over my shoulder. Without another word to Sarah, I headed downstairs, started the car, and waited for it to warm up. The girls climbed in, and we drove off. I saw Sarah watching us from the window, looking confused as we merged onto the main road. The car was silent for a while. Finally, Rachel spoke up. Daddy, Grandma lives on the other side of town. I know, sweetheart, I replied. But you were promised a trip to the ski lodge, and that's exactly where we're headed now. We'll figure out the details once we get there. Dad, are you and Mom getting a divorce? Rachel asked, her voice quivering with uncertainty. Why would you think that? I asked, doing my best to keep my tone even. We overheard you both arguing in the kitchen today, Katie said. We're on your side, aren't we, Rachel? I'm on Dad's side too, Rachel added. But where are we going to live? I gripped the steering wheel tighter. We'll stay at my mom's place for now. I'll drop you off at school so you can grab your books and clothes. But for now, let's not worry about that and focus on enjoying our vacation. You both deserve it. Back at the house, Sarah watched us drive away. Then she pulled out her phone and dialed Alex. I knew this because Lisa, Alex's wife, called me later to tell me everything. Alex, it's Sarah, she had said. We got a problem. Don't worry, I'm alone. Has your husband left yet? Alex asked. He's leaving tonight. He just went to the store. He's probably on his way back. What's going on? Alex asked, clearly confused. He didn't react the way we expected, Sarah replied, sounding troubled. He didn't believe me. Who are you talking about? Alex pressed. My husband, she explained. I proposed the 2-day separation we discussed. Did he go along with it? He knows about our past and our connection from college, she said, her voice tinged with anxiety. He's talking about getting a divorce. That's not good, Alex said, sounding concerned. This could turn into a major scandal. Word will get around the office. Meanwhile, I was driving north towards Stowe, Vermont. The girls had fallen asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the emotional morning. I called my old college friend Tom, who managed one of the best ski resorts in the area. Tom, I need a favor, I said quietly, not wanting to wake the girls. Remember those slopeside cabins you mentioned? Of course, Jack. What's up? I need one for the week. It's complicated. The girls and I need to get away. Tom didn't ask questions. He understood the tone in my voice. Come straight to the main lodge. I'll have everything ready. The 3-hour drive gave me time to think. I remembered how Sarah and I met, right after her relationship with Alex ended in college. I was finishing my computer science degree, and she was studying marketing. We fell in love quickly, got married young. I thought we had built something real. 17 years, 2 beautiful daughters, a home in the suburbs. The American dream, or so I thought. When we arrived at the resort, Tom was waiting outside. He took one look at my face and the sleeping girls in the back seat and simply handed me a key. Cabin 12, he said. It's stocked with food and firewood. Take all the time you need. I carried the girls one at a time into the cabin. They barely stirred as I tucked them into their beds. Then I sat down in front of the fireplace and finally let the tears come. The next morning, I woke to the smell of coffee. Rachel had figured out the coffee maker and was attempting pancakes. Katie was setting the table. Dad, Rachel said carefully, we want you to know we understand. We've seen how Mom's been acting. We're not little kids anymore. I pulled them both into a hug. I'm so sorry you had to hear all of that. I never wanted you to be involved in adult problems. We're okay, Dad, Katie assured me. Can we go skiing today? I managed a smile. Of course we can. That's why we're here, isn't it? We spent the day on the slopes. The girls re natural athletes, taking after their mother. I pushed that thought away. By evening, we were exhausted but happy. Tom's sister Emma stopped by to check on us. She ran the resort ski school. The girls can join my advanced class tomorrow if they'd like, she offered. That night, after the girls were asleep, my phone buzzed with messages from Sarah. I ignored them all. Then came one from Lisa, Alex's wife. You should know, her message read. Alex has done this before. 3 different companies. 3 different affairs. I'm filing for divorce too. The next few days fell into a rhythm. Mornings on the slopes, afternoons by the fire. Emma taught the girls some advanced techniques. I worked remotely from the cabin. Sarah kept calling. Her parents called too. I only answered my own parents, explaining the situation. My father, a retired judge, immediately understood. You've got recordings? He asked. Good. I'll connect you with the best divorce attorney in Boston. A week turned into 2. The girls enrolled in the local school temporarily. Emma helped with the arrangements. She understood what we were going through. She'd been through something similar herself. One evening, while the girls were at ski practice, Emma and I talked by the fire. You know, she said quietly, sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead us to where we're supposed to be. I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. She had kind eyes, but I wasn't ready. Not yet. The girls adore you. I said instead. Thank you for being so good with them. Sarah's messages became more desperate. Alex had disappeared, she said. His wife had exposed his pattern of workplace affairs. He'd been fired. Sarah was being investigated by HR. I finally answered one of her calls. The girls need their mother, I said, but it has to be on their terms. And you need to understand, we're done. Jack, please, she begged. It was a mistake. I never meant for any of this to happen. But it did happen, I replied. You were willing to throw away 17 years of marriage for a weekend with him. The girls heard everything. They made their own choices. I hired the attorney my father recommended, filed for divorce, full custody of the girls. Sarah didn't contest either. We stayed at the resort through winter. Emma kept teaching the girls. Slowly, very slowly, something started to grow between us. But we took our time. The girls came first. Spring arrived. Sarah moved in with her parents. She got supervised visits with the girls. Sometimes they went, sometimes they didn't. I never pushed either way. One evening, Rachel asked me a question. Dad, do you like Emma? I was careful with my answer. I do, but nothing will happen unless you and Katie are completely comfortable with it. Rachel smiled. We've been talking about it. We think you should ask her out. We'll be okay. Katie nodded in agreement. She makes you smile again. Dad, we like seeing you happy. I looked at my daughters, amazed at their maturity. They had handled this whole situation with more grace than most adults would. That weekend, I asked Emma to dinner. We took things slowly, very slowly. The girls came first, always. Summer turned to fall. Sarah found a new job in a different city. The girls settled into their new school permanently. Emma and I continued our careful dance. 1 year after that fateful morning, I sat in my lawyer's office. The divorce was final. Sarah had signed away her rights to the house. She would have supervised visitation. She didn't fight any of it. That evening, I took the girls and Emma out to dinner. We're officially starting our new chapter, I told them. All of us, together. Rachel and Katie exchanged looks. Then Rachel spoke. Dad, we have something to tell you. We've been calling Emma Mom at school. Is that okay? I looked at Emma, who had tears in her eyes. It's more than okay, I said. If that's what you want, and if Emma is comfortable with it. Emma reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I would be honored, she said softly. Later that night, after the girls were asleep, Emma and I sat on the cabin's porch. The same cabin we'd fled to a year ago. You know, she said, when you first arrived here, broken and hurt, I never imagined this is where we'd end up. I pulled her close. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead us to where we're supposed to be. You taught me that, remember? She smiled. Your girls taught me that too. They're remarkable, Jack. You did an amazing job with them. We did. I corrected her. We're doing this together now. The stars were bright over the mountains. The same mountains that had sheltered us in our darkest moments. Now they were witness to our new beginning. Sarah still sees the girls occasionally. She's dating someone new, I hear. Alex disappeared completely. Last I heard, he was facing multiple lawsuits from former employers. But that's not our story anymore. Our story is here, in these mountains, with ski lessons and homework and family dinners, with 2 remarkable girls who showed me what real strength looks like, and with a woman who taught me that sometimes love gets a second chance. When people ask me if I regret what happened, I tell them no, not anymore, because sometimes you have to lose everything to find what you were meant to have all along. The girls are thriving. Emma and I are planning a small wedding for next spring. Life isn't perfect, but it's real. And that's better than perfect anyway. The wedding was everything we could have hoped for. Small, intimate, with just our closest friends and family. We held it right there at the resort, with the mountains as our backdrop. Rachel and Katie were our bridesmaids. They helped Emma pick out her dress. They spent weeks planning every detail. It was their way of showing their acceptance, their love. Sarah didn't come to the wedding. She sent a card, though. "Be happy," she wrote. "Take care of our girls." It was the most genuine thing she'd said in years. Life settled into a new normal. The girls excelled in school. Rachel joined the ski team, with Emma as her coach. Katie discovered a passion for photography, capturing the mountains' changing moods. One evening, about 2 years after the wedding, Rachel came home from ski practice looking troubled. "Dad, I saw Mom today," she said. "She was with someone, a man I didn't recognize." I sat down with her. "How do you feel about that?" She thought for a moment. "Okay, I guess." She looked happy. Different from before. Less desperate. Katie joined us. "Is Mom dating someone?" "Seems like it," Rachel answered. "And you know what? I'm glad. Maybe now she'll stop trying so hard when we visit. Stop pretending everything's the same as before." I marveled at their wisdom. These girls who had been through so much. They understood things that many adults never grasp. Emma came home later that evening. She found us all in the kitchen, making dinner together. "Family meeting?" she asked, noting our serious faces. "Mom's dating someone," Katie announced. "And we're okay with it." Emma's face softened. She'd never tried to replace Sarah. Never pushed the girls for more than they were ready to give. That's one of the reasons they loved her so much. "You know," Emma said, joining us at the counter, "it's okay to want our mom to be happy. It doesn't change anything about our family." The girls nodded. They understood. Later that night, Emma and I talked about it. "They're remarkable," she said, "the way they handle everything." "They had a good teacher," I replied, pulling her close. "You showed them how to handle change with grace." Time moved forward, as it always does. Rachel started looking at colleges. Katie became the school newspaper's lead photographer. Emma expanded the ski school. I started my own software company. Sarah met someone serious, a widowed professor at Boston College. The girls liked him. He had grown daughters of his own. He understood the complexities of blended families. One day, about 5 years after that fateful morning, I ran into Alex at a conference in New York. He looked older, tired. He tried to avoid me, but I caught up with him. "Jack," he said nervously, I'm sorry for everything." I looked at him for a moment. This man who had almost destroyed my family, who had done the same to others. And I felt nothing. No anger, no hatred, just pity. "I hope you found what you were looking for," I said. Then I walked away. That evening, I called Emma. "I saw Alex today." I told her. "Are you okay?" she asked, concern in her voice. "Better than okay," I replied. I realized something. Everything that happened, it led me to you, to this life. And I wouldn't change it for anything. The girls are in college now. Rachel, at Dartmouth, studying environmental science. Katie at NYU, majoring in journalism. They come home often, drawn by the mountains and the memories we've made here. Emma and I still run the ski school together. We've expanded it, added summer programs. The resort has become our life's work. Sarah and her professor got married last year. The girls attended the wedding. They said it was nice, simple, like ours had been. Sometimes, late at night, Emma and I sit on our porch. The same porch where we first realized we were falling in love. We watch the stars and talk about our day. About the girls. About how life is a way of working out, if you're brave enough to let it. "Do you ever wonder," Emma asked me once, "what would have happened if Sarah hadn't done what she did?" I thought about it. We might have stayed together, I said, living half lives, pretending everything was fine. The girls would have grown up thinking that's what marriage should be. Instead, they learned about resilience, about second chances, about real love. Emma squeezed my hand. "They learned that from you," she said. "You showed them how to handle heartbreak with dignity, how to rebuild, how to love again." I looked at her in the starlight. This woman who had helped heal not just my heart, but my daughter's hearts too. Who had never pushed, never demanded. Who had simply been there, steady and true, until we were ready. No, I said. We showed them. All of us. Even Sarah, in her way. We showed them that life isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about how you handle them when they happen. The mountains rise behind our home, eternal and unchanging. But we have changed, grown, learned, loved again. And in the end, that's what matters. Not the betrayals or the heartbreaks, but the healing, the rebuilding, the second chances, the love that comes after the storm, stronger for having weathered it. And